Welcome to Aarhus for the second stage of the Ocean Race VO65 Sprint. It's been 4 months since our fleet of world-class sailors have been part of the race, but here in this harbour city on the east coast of Denmark, the fans have been welcoming our team to the Ocean Life Park, and today wishing them farewell as they begin stage 2, a 600-mile race over the top of Denmark to the shores of Norway and then down to The Hague and the finish line. Joining me for commentary today is renowned round-the-world sailor Dee Kafari, and Dee, it looks set to be a pretty good start.
Yeah, the conditions are pretty good. There's enough wind to get them moving, and these sailors are absolutely champing at the bit to get going.
Well, let's take a little bit of a look at those conditions out there on the racetrack at the moment. And as you can see from the helicopter image, it's looking certainly sunny, but the breeze is there as well, and that's the most important thing. Right now, we are in a state of good sea breeze, and fingers crossed that holds for the next hour to get these boats out. Dee, talk us through the course that's going to begin this second stage.
Well, it's that familiar course that we're used to now, the square just outside Aarhus Harbour. The boats are going to start off going through that start line, try to hit it at maximum speed. Round mark 1 and 2, it's all a left-hand turn. They've got a tactical jibe. They go along the reach to the tack, through the start line, then on for a second lap, again going round the corners. They go through the start line, then between marks 1 and 2 for the leaving gate, off on leg 6.
Wind Whisper Racing Team and Team JAJO. And Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team coming in with power now, but they've got to find a way through. Remember here, it's so important. The boat at the top of the screen, the boat to leeward, is the one with the rights. If they want to turn up, they can slow up the entire fleet. But it's risky being down there because the wind is hitting the other boats first. 20 seconds to go here. And now, look at this. Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team thinks they have seen a gap. They've already got their masthead sail out. They've already got the power with them, and they are pushing now to sail clear through underneath Austrian Ocean Racing powered by Team Geneva. And as the gun fires, Wind Whisper Racing Team with a strong start at the pin. Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team getting that time on distance pretty good, and Team JAJO coming off that line well. Dee, I mean, 3 very different approaches to that start line.
Really different approaches and all hit the line running. And again, it was Wind Whisper on that downwind, but we can see them bearing away there round that start mark.
I guess Wind Whisper Racing Team has been called over the line. I mean, it looked to me like they got the perfect start, but the perfect start means that you were right on the edge. So they were a little bit too close. Bill O'Hara and the race control team down there getting the best view. So they have called Wind Whisper Racing Team over the line. But Dee, I mean, a masthead code 0 here on Austrian Ocean Racing powered by Team Geneva furling. They're going into a turn. This could be a spin here. This could be a penalty turn. I don't think that they are going back to the line here. Watch that bow. If they continue to turn to the left, it's a penalty spin. They did get very close to Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team, and it is a penalty turn here for this team. I'm guessing what happened was Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team, you can see on the virtual eye graphic, very close together. And as we were saying, the team to leeward does have more rights on their side here. So clearly, Austrian Ocean Racing powered by Team Geneva getting on the wrong side of it. Must have been close there. I mean, it's not simple that you can just come into leeward and barge, but look there, that was the view of the gun firing, and the Polish team just over the line. It must have only been a metre or 2, so what could have potentially been a perfect start is now putting them on the back foot. Now, let me at this point just bring in our third commentator. We've got Mark Towell here with us in the commentary box. Mark, obviously you've been doing 2 laps of the planet on the VO65. That was quite the start here, but strong beginnings for Team JAJO.
It's super close on that front line up there of Team JAJO and Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team. But hot on the heels is actually Team Mexico, and they're really going to want to hang in there, because these were the ones that were clean across that start line, and they're coming up to the first mark of that left-hand turn.
Right now, the advantage obviously with Team JAJO. The view on board right now, you can see how much their crew has been pushed that way up to windward. It's going to be extra work, but right now, Mark, it's going to be extra speed. They need it. Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team right now is going a little bit more on the defense against Viva Mexico, but it's not hurting them in terms of speed compared to them and Team JAJO. But of course, Mark, we've got that left-hand turn coming up.
Yeah, we've got this left-hand turn coming up, and you can see the team starting to get ready for their bear away.
That strong windward position now for Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team. You can start to see a little bit of movement. The crew starting coming in now because they realise that next moment that's going to require all their attention, all their physical energy as well, is going to be the left-hand turn. We are just about to see that first mark come into view for all three teams now. The big question is going to be keeping the speed, keeping the momentum. They are going to drop power as they turn down. Mirpuri Trifault Racing Team first to bear away. Can they swing their bows? Are they going to try and get on the left-hand side, the inside of Team JAJO ahead? Right now, it's nose to tail. Mirpuri Trifault Racing Team now turning left. They're going to try and line themselves up here. Team JAJO answering the challenge here, Dee. They have really pushed that boat down.
This is a critical manoeuvre now. You want to jibe this big code zero they've got. You've got to jibe the main across, and you've got to change the runners. So we've got all 6 handles full, and we've got people. The cleanest manoeuvre here is going to win the gains.
At the back now, we have got Wind Whisper Racing Team. They have recovered some way after having to go back to the start, and then obviously behind them, Austrian Ocean Racing, powered by Team Geneva, after doing those 2 penalty turns to clear their rule infringement. That's 4th and that's 5th. Meanwhile, ahead of the Polish team, ahead of the red hull, is that battle for first place with those first 3 boats. Now those jibes completed, we are still in the 1, 2, 3, the order that we had going into those jibes. A good rounding there for Team JAJO. I mean, it's not a particularly complicated corner, just the sails coming in. Mirpuri Trifault Racing Team behind them, but still some grinding needs to be done to get those sails set. You can see the crews, once they clear everything, a little bit of a look behind just to check, have we lost 1 meter, 2 meters?
Having done this race twice now, whenever you see sails on the leeward side, it makes you cringe a little bit.
Interesting work here on Wind Whisper Racing Team, because of course we've just seen there a J2, I think, just getting furled there on the inside. I mean, Mark, Wind Whisper Racing Team, they seem to be not very happy about being in 4th, and they want to close down.
Yeah, it looked like they actually held their J2 as a staysail through that first reach once they went back through the line, and then down the run as well, and it's really helped them close down some of the distance.
This next leg is probably one of the most technical legs that they've got on this race to date. And I think, it's exciting going across oceans and going for speed and sprints and navigating weather systems, but this is all about a coastal race. This is about taking transitions, getting the right sail change at the right time, deciding whether you've got a acceleration or a transition to go through, and getting through cleanly. So it's really hard on the navigators with the islands and the obstacles they've got to watch.
The spinnaker sheets end up being really long. We saw in a previous shot one of the crew, backtailing the sheet, making sure that it's going to run smoothly. And actually, we just see the J1 going up here on Team JAJO, so looks like they'll be using that sail to go upwind. We saw off the start they were the only ones using the J1. All the other teams had J2s, and so this could end up being a gain for them on the upwind leg here.
It's a very late furl, if indeed it is a furl, on Team JAJO. At the moment, I can't see, well, it's just started to furl at the bottom. That is an incredibly late furl there. They're going to need to work pretty hard to get it out of the way here. All the time it's flogging. That is slowing them down, but they have got their J1 there. There's a lot of work now. I mean, Mark, I've got to say, do you think that's late? Do you think that was deliberate?
It's definitely aggressive. You can see the guy on the leeward side actually trimming on the J1 by hand while all 6 people on the pedestals are furling up that masthead zero. It's a bold maneuver.
It's with Mirpuri Trifault Racing Team, absolutely smooth, and already with that smaller sail trimmed in, ready for the upwind. Behind them, we have got Viva Mexico, again with a very different approach here. We've got no sail out right now for upwind. I mean, but there we go. There's the late deployment. I mean, deep.
That looked to me of a bit of confusion of communication, a bit of confusion of timing as they approach the mark. So we've got Mirpuri now going for an early tack with that J2. They were very smooth because they had a furling J2 ready to go. The J1's going to be a big attack when JAJO goes with that. And Team Mexico seemed to be a bit indecisive and kind of went with nothing until they eventually got there.
And it looks like Team Wind Whisper are actually just going to go upwind with the masthead zero. So we've got 4 boats with 4 different approaches. Nice to see some action on this square course, which for a lot of these races has been basically the same sail all the way around.
Team JAJO set to round the top of the course and close out those final stages of lap 1 in the lead. Behind them, Viva Mexico. Now we can see Mirpuri Trifault Racing Team coming in here. Are they going to tack in front and tack clean of Viva Mexico? It's going to be a nice smooth tack that they're going to need here. They go above the line of Viva Mexico, but if anything, I'd say Viva Mexico are slow here. I think that they have tacked very, very, very slow here, and they're on a bit of a rough ley line here. Surprised to see that code zero being unfurled here. D, it doesn't look from this camera angle that Viva Mexico's got a lot of speed here. I would say Mirpuri Trifault Racing Team got away with those 2 extra tacks. It looks like Viva Mexico are going to come round still in 3rd place, but how much distance has the Polish team closed down here? Speed seems to be the order of the day.
Speed and clean maneuvers, absolutely. And we didn't get to see the tack on Team JAJO, but it looks like they've had a massive gain out of that maneuver.
For now, Win Whisper Racing Team still in 4th place, but Pablo Arate, the skipper, doing a great job of closing up. And this is the first time I think we've seen the Red Hull, the Polish team, Pablo Arate's Win Whisper Racing Team, back in the pack.
It is, and it's really interesting the way they went for minimal movement, so they didn't do any sail changes, they stayed with the code 0. Very confident that they could load it up and they would sheet it correctly.
And for Team JAJO out in the lead, now you're starting to think, yes, we are now stretching out a little bit. You guys behind can start worrying about each other.
So they are literally just going to bear away there. They've lifted the leeward daggerboard, so they're easing the sheets. They're going to try and time a really clean jibe. And I think the big decision they're making now is when they get to the other end of the reach, are they going to go through that sail change that they did before, or are they going to grunt up and stay with the code 0? It'd be really interesting to see what decisions are made now they've seen everybody else's decisions on the first lap.
D, a lovely jibe here from Team JAJO. Beautifully timed, it seemed to me, on that masthead code 0.
It looked very smooth, and it's always a risk when you go for a blow through, just in case something gets caught, but it's less effort on the grinders. They don't have to grind it all in and then sheet it all back out again. So it's that balance, but they clearly have practiced that, and they were very confident, and that was their manoeuvre of choice in these conditions.
Question is, can Win Whisper Racing Team do some damage now with those 2 boats ahead having a little bit of a fight?
Yeah, that looks like a gain to my eye on the Win Whisper in terms of reducing the amount of distance between Viva Mexico and them.
But look at how close Win Whisper Racing Team have really got on the heels here of Viva Mexico, Mark.
Yeah, they're really closing up the distance, and I think we're going to have another exciting upwind beat here as they go around Mark 3.
And D, on Team JAJO, a little bit of work here on the bow. What's that, J1, I think, getting ready to go? So this is them making that final decision.
Yeah, that's right. He was unzipping there where they trapped it down in the sailbag, so it's ready to go up. Now, last time when they got to this windward Mark 3,
Eric Brockman is on the defence now. I mean, the thing that you should be seeing behind them is the mark, but it's not. It's a long way down to the left-hand side because those 3 teams have had to sail really high, each of them defending against the charge of the other behind. That has helped Team JAJO here in 1st place. They have been able to pull out a few extra boat lengths here. But D, now we can see that sail change here, one up inside the other as the next turning mark comes into view.
and they've gone for that furl super early there. Last time we commented that it was quite late. This time, with no pressure from behind for them, they've gone for it a lot earlier, so they'll be cleaner on the upwind. They'll be able to get that J1 in without somebody having to top handle it. They can actually have some grinders on it, which would be pleasant for the trimmer.
Coming up next in second place, Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team is feeling a little bit of pressure behind. They were able to defend, keep Viva Mexico in third, but Wind Whisper Racing Team in fourth place is pretty close here. We can see a similar here, a nice comfortable furl here, but D, a different sail choice again.
That's right, the slightly smaller J2 that's on the furling position, just slightly behind where the J1 is. So it's a smaller area than the sail that Team JAJO's gone with, but it makes it super clean and easy for them.
Well, now we come up to the turn. Third place, Viva Mexico and Eric Brockman keeping that big masthead code 0 in the air, trimming it on to power him upwind. He's going to be right on the limit in terms of wind speed, and the question will be, Wind Whisper Racing Team behind, turning right on the heels. What does Pablo Arate do here?
We call that turn that Eric did a trimmer's turn there. He basically luffed the boat up, which not only from a positional standpoint makes sure that Wind Whisper is not going to be able to get inside them, but it also makes it a lot easier for the grinders to get that big sail into that upwind position.
Team JAJO now back onto that masthead code 0 as they finish that upwind section. They're bearing away now to go through that start-finish line one more time before then heading out into the open sea. Mirpuri Trifort Racing Team in second place to push a little bit away. Eric Brockman on Viva Mexico having to go defensive. Not the same here for this boat in second place. Well, behind them, Wind Whisper Racing Team is right on the stern here of Viva Mexico. Eric Brockman will be very happy now to round that last mark, and it turns into that reach again, harder for the boats behind to try and find a way round. So first place, Team JAJO, last time through the start-finish line, then Military Trifault Racing Team Viva Mexico in third, Wind Whisperer Racing Team in fourth, and the Austrian Ocean Racing powered by Team Geneva out of shot at the moment in fifth place. Well, some great racing here. My thanks to Dee, Kafari and Mark Tao for joining me for commentary. The VO65s are now underway on the second stage of the Ocean Race VO65 Sprint. And we are going to have to wait to see whether Team JAJO can hold this lead or the other teams manage to catch them.